I'm a firm believer that a film can be enjoyable and fun without necessarily having to be artistic or of artistic merit. For me, a good film is one that entertains. It just simply has to be a good way to pass the time. Today's film's one of them, and while the title is horrifically misleading, the tone of the film is perfectly in line with it. 1979's Crazy Guy with Super Kung Fu is the only film written and produced by Ling, who was mainly an actor and only really had one other writing credit to his name, Deadly Strike, also known as Wanted: Bruce Lee Dead or Alive. This film was his second and final film to be written, and it's a very bizarre experience to sit through. The film revolves around three bean curd makers who, after messing around one day while on the job, all find themselves fired at the hand of their stern boss. While looking for work, a gang of criminals arrive in the village and begin to cause trouble, forcing our trio into a vigilante-esque team. At first they're a bit rubbish, but after getting some aid from a group of street beggars, they slowly but surely pick up the pace and attempt to take out the gang and return the village to its peaceful existence once and for all. This film is only just saved from being an outright lie. There is a crazy guy in this film, and he does have some super kung fu, even though we don't see him perform any of it. This film is an almost outright lie because the crazy guy himself doesn't turn up until 45 minutes into the 75-minute film, and they themselves don't demonstrate any of the super kung fu until the 60-minute mark. If you couldn't have guessed by the title, this film is a comedy martial arts film. Honestly, I can't say I've seen anything quite like it. All the actors mug, gurn and pout their way through this film, and one of the nicest twists I discovered while watching was that one of the trio is actually dubbed by none other than Fatty the Kung Fu Yorkshireman from the descendants of Wing Chun. I say this film is a comedy. The narrative is fairly inconsistent. There's an awful lot of padding, you see, and this pretty much causes the film to be a bit lumpy in terms of how fluid it is. Realistically, if you just focused on the main plot, you could probably half the runtime of this film. But the little side scenes and extra little moments in this film are ridiculous and make the film what it is.
No, I'm not gonna let you guys shove me around.
Oh, please, gentlemen, no violence. Let's talk it over.
We can talk all you want to. Listen, friends, look at all these dishes of fish. But these fish are filthy. They've been in the kitchen 3 weeks, and the place is crawling in cockroaches and rats in the cupboards. You'll be dead. You've been warned. You better pay attention to me. Listen to me. This place ain't safe to eat in. Look at this old chicken. You can see it's a grandfather, but it really has gone off. Must have got pneumonia. Taken a few days to die. It only died yesterday, but it didn't cost a thing. So he cooked it up for you. Don't blame me if you get sick. Don't say that I didn't warn you now. Don't say that I didn't warn you.
What? I'm not gonna eat this. Come on.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Please, gentlemen, you can't just walk out of here without paying your bill first. You can't do that.
I'm sorry.
You?
In fact, one of the biggest out-of-left-field moments for me was when the film suddenly sharply changed pace and turned briefly into a romance film about two previously unseen characters trying to win the hand of a young woman. Admittedly, it very vaguely ties back into the main film, but that's 10 to 15 minutes of an already short 75-minute film blown completely away. Also, quite a few of the bigger comedy moments arise from overt homosexual overtones in the characters. And while it is quite stereotypical by modern standards, I have to concede to loving a good camp character, and this film has them in spades. They're not exactly revolutionary characters, but they're fun and interesting to be around. Other than a very brief disguise scene, most of the rest of the humour is slapstick, which is alright. It's worked into the choreography of the fight scenes well for the most part, but on the whole it's quite unbelievable in execution, from a filming perspective at least. They're very well orchestrated in terms of actual choreography. If the direction was aimed for campy and over the top and melodramatic, it succeeds in this. And while the cinematography leaves a lot to be desired, it's at least competent enough to be watchable. The only thing that really lets this film down is the editing, which seems to be a little bit all over the place, with some scenes cut in well before like they feel they should do. The soundtrack is literally so memorable I actually forgot to make any notes on it. For all I know, it might not even have had a soundtrack. And one of the most disappointing elements of this film, sadly, is the print's presentation itself. The print I had to work with was absolutely atrocious, easily one of the worst print qualities I've worked with, and I've worked with 6th generation VHS tape. This film has scratches, dust, dirt, tram lines, bleaching, oxidisation, blatant points where the film has either broken or been heavily damaged. It's frankly atrocious. And to make matters worse, as is the case with most of the Vengeance video releases I've dealt with in the past, this film has been cropped. It took me a while to notice with this one, but it becomes obvious in some scenes where half the characters are cut off. A real shame, because I really enjoyed the production for the most part. Much like Descendants of Wing Chun, this film also seems to just abruptly end. We don't get to see any big payoff for the final fight, and it just sort of ends with the fight being over. Which upset me a bit, because even though this film is cheap, heavily padded and quite bland on the eye, its characters feel quite interesting and well-rounded, and to not get any closure on their arc was a bit disappointing. That's the thing with this film. Everything about it screams that it's unwatchable, and yet I found myself warming to it, a bit like The Underdog. It's not art, but it's entertaining enough to keep me on board. Crazy Guy with Super Kung Fu was released by Vengeance Video on DVD in 2004. Having browsed around, I know for a fact that there is a better, but not much better, quality print release. It's currently on YouTube, and if anyone knows where to find this better release, please do let me know. The Vengeance Video release is now long out of print, and it's a real shame they cut corners on this effort, because I think with a bit of TLC, this could almost be a cult classic. This film is so close to being a respectable B-movie companion to another film I've spoken about, The Dragon Lives Again. It's silly, all over the place and border incoherent, but it's charming and warm and puts you in a particular mindset to watch more stupid, silly things. If this was a genuine first attempt at a feature film, then I have to say personally, well done. It's by no means perfect, but it really feels like a good attempt. It's rare that I don't end up clock gazing at least once during a feature film. This one managed to hold my attention almost all the way throughout. Other than the slightly dated humour and some of the padding just about overstaying its welcome, I'd say definitely look out for this one. It's a real hidden gem.